Hoax or mystery in the skies of the USA. In recent days, the news has highlighted certain unusual phenomena that have occurred in the skies of the USA. These are sightings also documented with video footage of unidentified flying objects, what we once called UFOs. Objects that fly over, according to the media, military bases and sensitive targets on US territory without there being any way to identify them or shoot them down by national security bodies. What could it be? Recalling the brilliant idea of Orson Welles' broadcast on October 30th, 1938, that caused panic and hysteria in American listeners of the time, the suspicion may arise that in our day, someone is trying to set up a sequel to that event using more advanced and refined technology. Simply classifying the event as yet another hoax for gullible fools is all too obvious. The risk would be to replicate the tragic outcome of the anecdote of the shepherd boy who, continuing to cry, "Wolf, wolf," was no longer listened to in the true moment of need. For this reason, it would be wise to formulate a series of hypotheses, even among the most unlikely, to try to construct a plausible interpretation of the phenomenon. The first, there is no UFO, it is only a colossal hoax set up for the gullible ones willing to believe at will in any strange thing. The second, there is no UFO, but it is an experiment of the American Army or a secret branch of the same apparatus that intends to test the population's reactivity to unusual and strong stimuli. The third, there is no UFO, but it could be a series of latest generation drones manufactured by the Americans themselves or by other countries to deliberately spy on US territory and show off their technological superiority. The fourth, no, they are not UFOs for the simple reason that those who see them, in most cases, are only Americans who, on the wave of suggestion, have been feeding the propaganda industry for years with films, books, and various accessories, a source of income for the entertainment majors. The fifth, yes, there is the possibility that they are unidentifiable aircraft, even if in this specific case, claiming it seems rather risky. But the possibility that unknown vehicles can cross our skies has been documented by numerous testimonies over time. In this regard, I take one into consideration. The Madonna with Child and St. John the Baptist, painting kept in Florence in which a particularly structured object stands in the sky, attracting the curiosity of a spectator present in the background landscape. So, in this case, to say that it is a UFO is as valid as the one that attributes to the particular in question the value of a symbolic expression of the divine, since there is no material proof of the existence of God. So if we are willing to believe only by an act of faith that God exists, why should we doubt that there could be a form of life different and more evolved than ours that comes to visit us from time to time? Maybe it is not even that. Maybe the reality of the Matrix is more real, where we all live inside a collective hallucination that, even if it manifests itself openly, is relegated by our awareness to the realm of impossible fantasies. But that is another matter. The sixth, yes, there is the possibility that it is a UFO because on this planet there are many different forms of life that certify the possibility that in the same environmental context, a multitude of different organisms can develop and evolve according to the genetic architecture that constitutes them. The seventh, yes, they exist, but we are not interesting enough for them. This is the answer I feel like giving to the Fermi paradox, without wanting to compare myself to the greatness of the character mentioned. Therefore, to the question, if the universe and our galaxy are teeming with developed civilizations, where are they all? I answer, mind their own business. We know that in the ocean depths there are eruptive chimneys that are teeming with known life forms that have adapted to a hostile environment, if compared to the one we live in, but this does not induce us to colonize that place that for us would still remain an inhospitable place and particularly complicated to manage. Therefore, from time to time we go to visit it to marvel at the tenacity of its guests and nothing more. The eighth and last, do they exist? Yes, perhaps they exist, because their presence could be written in our DNA that manifests itself in our fantastic projections with our evolution, which seems to be aimed towards that only direction that is beyond the splendid island that hosts us in the universe. But this is only the conclusion of the person speaking and cannot be accepted as absolute truth, since it is the expression of an infinitesimal knowledge of reality. Therefore, the conclusion remains in the hands of the individual, who must move cautiously among the anguish of doubt. Do these UFOs exist, or are they just the result of a perceptual alteration? I was about 20 years old, and I remember that one night I was lying with my wife on a Sicilian beach, gazing at the starry sky, when I noticed the darting movement of a light that in a few moments seemed to have moved in a linear motion between several stars before disappearing. Taken by surprise, I pointed it out to my wife, who, however, was unable to see it. At this point, the question arises: was what I saw real, or was it a hallucination artfully created by my mind that at that moment was predisposed to imagine what I unconsciously wanted to see? I know for sure that there will be those who will be in favor of the first hypothesis, while others will be more inclined to the second explanation. But when the phenomenon becomes collective, then the suggestion can be questioned, because what happened is indisputable, proven by multiple testimonies, among which there may be people who are skeptical about ufology. At this point, we are back to the beginning of the question: does humanity have the knowledge and technology capable of explaining this kind of phenomena? The answer is no, and maybe we will have to wait a long time before finding it, unless tomorrow morning we wake up with a gigantic spaceship hovering motionless above our heads to remind us that they too, like us, at a certain point in their evolution, began to explore the planets in their orbital system, colonizing them at a later time, and then launching themselves into the conquest of the unknown in search of someone who could give an answer to their questions, which perhaps are also ours. Best wishes, and see you soon.